Let's still stay with matters relating to education, but this time on one of the controversial subjects that has lasted 4 weeks. Now, the Minister of Education, Dr. Yaw is meeting vice chancellors of public universities across the country to resolve the ongoing UTAG strike. The National Executive Committee of the Universities Association of Ghana, UTAG, is expected later today to deliberate on their next line of action following an order by the High Court to seek an out-of-court settlement with the National Labour Commission. The Accra High Court advised the two parties to address outstanding issues out of court and only seek justice in court if their efforts still fail. The NLC had earlier taken UTAG to court to compel the striking lecturers to suspend their industrial action. UTAG says it will suspend its action once government shows commitment to address their concerns. Well, the Education Minister has been interacting with vice chancellors of the public universities. Let's hear a little bit of what he's been discussing at that event.
We just finished a very important discussion with vice chancellors of all public universities across the country. Every one of them came here on a very short notice because of the importance they attach to the UTAG strike that is ongoing. We've met, discussed a number of things. And our goal is to get our lecturers, professors, those without which our universities will not run, back into our lecture halls. Our students are waiting, and we'll do everything possible to make sure that our lecturers go back to the classroom. So this was a very important meeting, and I'm glad that they were able to make it. So important decisions have been made, and we're going to follow through to make sure that this strike will end the way we were admonished by the judge yesterday, that we should be seen as taking steps. We should be taking steps on the government side to do a certain number of things, come back to the negotiation table. I want to appeal to my distinguished lecturers and professors. We appreciate the work that they do. And as the Minister for Education, I'm the chief advocate, and will do everything possible to ensure that this strike ends and that their demands are also considered, and further dialogue happens at the end of the strike. I was joined today by the Deputy Minister for Labour, who is representing his sector minister, and who was engaged in another meeting. As you know, in the Labour front, there's always some urgent meetings. He has always been here, but today he couldn't join us. Professors, vice chancellors, I'm truly appreciative of your commitment to the cause. The engagements that you've been having with your various UTAG members and professors is much appreciated.
Education Minister Dr. Yaw there. Well, we can now listen to the President of the Vice Chancellors Ghana, Professor Abednego Amate, after this meeting.
What he did say was that he's met the Vice Chancellors. We made some important decisions. The government is willing to engage and is appealing to our distinguished professors and lecturers to get back to the lecture halls so negotiation can continue. The Vice Chancellors Ghana stand by it. And we are doing everything possible to get our faculty to get back to the lecture halls.
Is it an assurance that the academic calendar is not going to be collapsed and then you're not going to close down the schools?
What I mean said is that we are doing everything possible to make sure that our lecturers get back to the lecture halls. And so that's what we want to say.
What is your definition of doing everything possible, sir? If you can explain to the Ghanaian public, to the students who are crying that their lecturers should come back home so that their monies are not wasted.
But what you are saying now is part of doing everything possible. You can see the minister and all vice chancellors being here and negotiate, discussing issues. And as government said, as the minister said, government is willing to negotiate. And we are talking to our lecturers on the various campuses, coming to engage them further. So we are appealing to them to come back to the lecture halls while the negotiation continues.
Professor Abednego Amate, he is the President of Vice Chancellors Ghana, speaking to the media after that meeting with the Education Ministry. Let's get a lot more on this. Kwesi Kwating is the Public Relations Officer of the Education Ministry. Thank you, Kwesi, for joining us. So I've heard the Minister, also I've heard the Vice Chancellor's President speak. but I've not heard concrete agreements or decisions that we're taking at this meeting. Do you mind sharing any of those which are likely to affect the UTAG strike to get the teachers back to the classroom?
Is to be able to ultimately get our lecturers, our professors, our distinguished teachers in the universities, of course, to resign their decision of being on strike, so that ultimately we can resume with full academic activities where we'll have teaching and learning going on in our various universities. The Minister for Education, Dr. Yaw had already been engaging the leadership of UTAG in a lot of times behind the scene meetings, and then it became also very necessary that we also bring on board stakeholders like the Vice Chancellor's Ghana, so that we will be able to get to the bottom of this. Because I mean, within the context of even the decision of the court yesterday, in the case of UTAG and the National Labour Commission, where the distinguished judge directed that the two parties should use alternative dispute resolution approach. We felt as a ministry it was right that we continue to engage them, we continue to bring our stakeholders on board with the sole aim of getting to the bottom of it. So yes, critically, that was some of the concerns that were shared. That was how the whole discussion was about. And we are very hopeful that within this space of 1 week that the court gave us, we are able to at least get UTAG forced to resign the decision to be on strike. I think for us, that is the most important. That is what the minister wants.
Mr. Kwesi, I'll have you hold on for me. I'll get back to you shortly. But joining me on the phone is Dr. Samuel Bett Boedi Kusi. He's UCC UTAG president. Thank you, Doc, for joining us. So from yesterday's court action and the directive of the judge for you to meet with the National Labour Commission and all the other parties to thrash out your issues, we know you are meeting this evening as a National Executive Council of UTAG and the other bodies. Do we know exactly what we'll be going into this meeting with, knowing what we know from the court and now the Vice Chancellor's meeting with the Education Minister?
Well, thank you very much, my brother. And let me say good afternoon to your listeners and my brother on the other side. Yes, just as you said, the ruling or the order from the Venerable Judge is clear, and it gives us an opportunity to engage further. And we think that from our point of view, throughout this process, we have never avoided meeting. Any invitation that has come to us, we have honored it. But I think that going forward, what all of us, for us as a union, we'll be looking at the posturing of the judge and what the message is telling us. And I think it's same to the other side. What moving forward we need to do is to be candid, to be honest about the issues, to be transparent. Let's trust each other and move on. The concerns of the lecturer, are they genuine? If they are genuine, what is the way forward? What options, what proposals are we putting on the table? So that all of us can get out of this. It is not in the interest of everybody for us to continue to remain with a withdrawal of teaching services while students continue to move around without any clear sense of direction. And so let's admit and acknowledge that there is some genuineness in what the lecturers are talking about, and let's put proposals on the table that will get everybody back to work, to full active service as we do best.
We are going to be coming back to you for the outcome of the meeting you're having later tonight. But I want to find out, we know the National Labour Commission wrote to you, inviting you for the meeting on Monday. Is UTAG, representing in this meeting heavily?
Well, that is a matter for determination this evening when the National Executive Council meets to discuss. And so I'm sure post our meeting, we'll be able to make a definite pronouncement on that. But the point to be made is that, we're actually not negotiating with the National Labour Commission. There is nothing that we are doing with the National. It's virtually our employers that we need to engage. Right. The National Labour Commission was acting based on their establishment. But I think that was more or less derailing the effort, because for close to about 2 weeks, virtually nothing happened. Everybody seemed to probably be hiding behind the National Labour Commission and all the things were going on, going to court and all that. But I mean, the most important thing is that now the judge gives us an opportunity for everybody to have a little bit of introspection. Let's engage in a more meaningful way so that we can get out of this.
All right, thank you. Dr. Betts there, he is the UTAG president for the UCC there. Mr. Kwarteng, before I let you go, you heard there the teacher front, they are willing and ready to avail themselves for any meeting, but they want the acknowledgement that the teachers have genuine concerns that have to be addressed. But I want to find out, has the minister hinted of any plan of meeting the teachers directly again on the back of the judges, directives?
Let me state that I commend the leadership of UTAG, of course, for their collaboration so far in resolving the issue. We at the ministry appreciate their posture and the fact that they've been forthcoming and with the whole idea about resolving the issue. But I do not think issues of whether or not the issues that UTAG has raised are valid or not has not come into being. The ministry or government, our position has always been one, that no matter your concerns, however legitimate or illegitimate that they may be, of course, they ought to be addressed. And the only medium of addressing such concerns is at the negotiation table. And so we have always been open in arm with a view of resolving the impasse amicably. That has always been the posture of the ministry. It is the more reason why there has even been a lot of behind-the-scene discussions and engagements, not only even at the between the national UTAG level, but even at the NEC level. The Minister for Education has even met them with the whole idea of getting some level of flexibility and consensus in resolving the issue. So yes, we will continue to engage them. We are open in arms, and we are very hopeful that the two of us should be able to build consensus as soon as possible. Nobody is happy that our kids, our children are just stranded. It is a headache of the minister and the ministry, and we hope to resolve this as soon as possible.